Welcome to American Med Spa Association podcast, Medical Spa Insider. This week, AmSpa founder Alex Thiersch is speaking with Dr. Chris Surek, DO, FACS, board certified plastic surgeon, internationally recognized facial anatomist, and founder and director of the Academy for Injection Anatomy.
Recording in progress. What's up, everybody? Alex Thiersch here, Medical Spa Insider in the house. What is going on? We've got the man, the myth, the legend, Dr. Chris Surek. Live. Where are you right now? Are you at home in KC or are you traveling? You on the road?
I'm back home in KC at the moment.
All right. Dr. Chris Surek, the founder and the brains, the mastermind behind the Academy for Injection Anatomy, which is the world, I have no doubt saying it's the world's best cadaver course. For those of you looking for training in injectable anatomy, this is the place to be. Dr. Surek, Chris, we've been working together on this for a while, since I think 2020. We've had a lot going on with the AIA course. We're kind of running it back this year. We're changing it up a little bit, though. I think what we wanted to talk about today is number one, a couple things. You got a new book out, which I wanna make sure we touch on. A new course for AIA alumni who have already taken the AIA course, which I think is going to be super exciting, as well as obviously just some updates on what's been going on in the world of anatomy and cadavers. So first of all, how have you been? How are things?
Things are good. Things are good. Yeah, we this June will be the 6th year anniversary of AIA, and as you mentioned, we partnered in 2020, so we're going on year 5 together. You guys have been awesome partners. You've taken on the road. We've done now almost 4 years of national tour together, and it's been phenomenal to see the growth in the program, the faculty, the alumni, and just the energy behind what we're trying to create in teaching and anatomy and safety.
Yeah. It's been amazing because when I first met you and learned about your course and saw what you were doing, there had been a few cadaver courses out there, but they were really few and far between. And I feel like I don't feel like I'm overstating. You kind of set the standard for what it should look like now. There's so many of them going on, right? And that's not necessarily a bad thing. We want people to be able to learn. But yours, I feel like, when you're choosing one, like what stands the test of time? And you've been doing this for a long time. Talk about how many injectors have come through your program. Like, what's your alumni look like? And then we can get into a little bit about this new course that you thought up that dedicated to alumni, which I think is a really cool thing. But what's the alumni look like right now? How many have you trained?
Yeah, well, first of all, to your point, you're absolutely right. I mean, since we started, we were kind of one of the first to markets with this concept. We saw a hole in private training and tried to fill it. And as you mentioned, many courses have popped up since then, which is good. I think education's good. It can be hard sometimes for a newer injector to figure out which course to go to. I take a lot of pride in the fact that we have a very polished product, very authentic approach, intimate environment. And I think every alumni who's come to our course could testify to that, hopefully. And so I always tell my faculty, don't focus on everything around you, focus on being the best faculty you can be to that attendee that day.
Yeah.
And we always look at our reviews, we're always editing what we're doing, and this course remains very close to my heart. So I'm excited about what we've done, and I'm more excited about what's to come ahead. To answer your question, as far as numbers, as far as the true course in its natural form, we have over 1,600 alumni. However, we've had the honor, as you know, of leading anatomy for the past 5 industry launches for a variety of products, both filler as well as biosimulators. And so if you include that as well as the meeting spin-offs we've done, we've eclipsed over 3,100 injectors that have touched an AIA course at some point in time, over 65 courses total, and we're almost to 600 cadaver heads and dissection. So we've some pretty impressive numbers, far more than I ever imagined when I started this thing with 12 people in a small medical school cadaver lab in Kansas City.
Yeah, I mean, it is impressive to think about what you've built, and obviously since we've been together, we've been trying to kind of reach the masses. It's cool to see, though, even though it is kind of it's a crowded field, right? There's a lot of folks doing this. Which again, it's cool to see that people are catching on, but I do think what you've built is so impressive because, and I'm sure there's some folks right now who are listening who don't know kind of the gist of it and kind of what you're teaching, because you're a an anatomist in addition to a plastic surgeon, and I mean, your ability to kind of not only just recall and your knowledge base of facial anatomy, but your ability to teach it, I think is unmatched, and you have such energy when you're up there. But talk a little bit about kind of what you were trying to build when you put this together, because it's not just, it's one thing to do a cadaver course and learn the anatomy. It's another thing where with your cross-sectional analysis, you're bringing individual cadaver heads in so that students can actually work with them themselves on an individual basis. I think is really cool, and it's been transformative. And for folks who maybe don't know quite enough about the course, talk about what it is that you're looking to achieve, what they should expect.
Alex, excellent question. So, as I mentioned to you in the past, this industry is very passionate, very impulsive, very fast moving. And it's hard for injectors, or let's say business owners who employ injectors, to know where to send their injectors to learn.
Mm-hmm.
In my opinion, if you're going to inject someone with a needle or cannula, you need to be an expert in two things: anatomy and the science of the product you're using, whether it's a filler, a neurotoxin, or a biostimulant. You need to know where you're going, why you're going there, what you're going to use when you get there, and how to avoid problems. You owe it to your patient. And so I built the course along that premise. See, anatomy is this huge world. I don't need my injectors to be PhD anatomists. I need them to be injection anatomists, to understand what high yield principles matter to them. And so what's unique about me is I teach in the facelift world, I teach in the medical school anatomy world, and I teach in the injection anatomy world. And what we try to share with them is a compact delivery of high yield, clinically relevant information without all the fluff, right? And then I also believe in visual and tactile learning. That's how I learn, by seeing and touching and feeling. So in our course, the first day is a full face, traveling through the face, through the viewpoint of an injector, with illustrations like a magic school bus ride to get them dialed in. We see and talk about each structure 5 times. Then in the afternoon, we do a variety of didactics, whether it's complication management, live injections. And then the next day is the best part: in-person live dissection that they do themselves. We take them through a 3-dimensional tour so they can feel and touch each structure and visualize it. And there's a certain level of retention that happens with that. And so that's the premise behind our course.
Yeah, and so first of all, I mean, I've seen your course so many times, but I still have so many questions, and I'm always fascinated by it. Going back first to the dissection part, because students get to actually partake in the dissection, which I think you were the first one to really do that. I mean, we see it now, but and you mentioned, so every student is kind of paired with a cadaver. There's 4 students to a cadaver head, and so they each have the ability to perform dissections on the cadaver. What you mentioned that doing that gives them a sense of feeling and learning, and that's the tactile part, I understand. What is it that they are able to do coming at it from that angle that is different from the traditional cadaver, which is the layered approach where you're pulling back layers, and which is again has its benefit as well, but doing it the way that you're doing it, I always like your metaphor about a building and going down through floors, not being able to see. To me, that's perfect. And how did you come up with this, and where did this idea come from to do it this way as opposed to another way?
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. One unique thing about how we teach is what's called cross-sectional cuts.
Yeah.
So there's 2 ways to dissect a cadaver. You can peel it apart in layers, which can look pretty on stage or look good in books, but injectors are not peeling apart their patients' faces, right? Injection to them is a blind stick. It's literally a guesstimation of location and depth. Unless you have an ultrasound, it is literally a blind stick. And so what's unique about AIA and the way that we teach is cross-sectional cuts, meaning that we cut from the skin all the way down to the bone, and we open it like a book so we can see how every structure interrelates. And as a matter of fact, if you were in medical school or a PhD anatomy student, the highest level of learning in anatomy for those practicals is understanding cross-sectional cuts, because then you know how every structure interrelates. Like you mentioned, like a 2-story building, right? If you think of the face of a 2-story building, you're entering through the roof and you're passing through rooms and floors to get to your target. You need to know what is in each room and in each floor, right? Where's the plumbing? Where's the electricity? Where are the walls, right? Where are my targets? Where are my danger zones? And so a lot of pride in what we do is teaching it through cross-sectional cuts. And that also allows us to teach different skill levels. You could be a
Mhm.
surgeon or a first-time injector and still get through our lab effectively and walk away with a lot of high yield pearls. So I
Yeah.
think it's a very comprehensive and approachable way to teach for any skill level in injections.
Yeah, that's it. It's really cool to see. And then the other question I had as a follow up was, talking about I've seen the level and depth of the anatomy that you know as an anatomist and as an instructor. But what I've always found really important about what your course does, and I think some of the things that we're developing together right now is you know it's one thing to train someone to try to be a perfect injector, right? Perfect technique. All of that I think comes with time and experience and skill. But what we're dealing with right now as an industry, as you know from various things that have been going on, it's while that's certainly part of it, the biggest part of it is making sure that we're safe when we're professional and we're dealing with things in a way so that the public knows that we're safe and we're dealing with this in serious fashion. And so that's the area where becoming a safe injector, I think is so important. And really, you focused on that aspect of it. Not to the detriment, not saying you're not focusing on technique, of course, because everything that you're doing, I think, lends itself to that because you've got a lot of all of the tips and a lot of the anatomical structures you talk about lend itself to actually building it with the technique. But the safety aspect of it has always been so important to me, and I think it's really cool to watch.
Yeah, it's critical. I mean, again, whether you're an injector or a business owner, you want great outcomes, but you also want to avoid complications. And we have a saying at the
Right.
course that I trademarked years ago: the fear of injections is the fear of anatomy. And that's the truth. We want them to have a healthy fear. If you're not scared just a little bit of what can happen with these injectables, then you scare me as an injector, right? Being fearless,
Yeah.
I think, can be dangerous. And so we want to empower them with knowledge. We don't want to make them fearful. We want to make them aware and make sure that they are very calculated and deliberate and intentional in the way they approach their injection techniques to optimize outcomes and most importantly avoid complications.
Yeah. So let's talk about the next course that you've developed, the AIA Alumni course, which is happening June, I want to say June 27th through 29th. The main course is Saturday the 28th. And I think what's cool about this is you mentioned there's 1,900 alumni that have come through the kind of the course that you've built, another couple thousand that have come through some of the product launches, and you've built this kind of community, and everyone is really, I think, is really excited to be around one another. Talk about the community itself and why you wanted to build something specifically for the folks who have come to the course already.
Yeah, this has been in the works for a while. I've really wanted to do this. I wanted to give it time to figure out what was the best format and logistics. Life's just busy for all of us. But this is a really unique opportunity to circle back up with alumni and do a higher level, a little more intense, a little more in-depth course with the option of a cadaver refresher on day two. So we've had several alumni come back through the original course, and I hear time and time again, man, the second go around, it really stuck this time.
Mhm.
The first go around, it can be like drinking water from a fire hose for a lot of people. No matter how skilled you are, it's still a lot of knowledge and anatomy to acquire in one weekend. And even after 65 courses, I still learn something by teaching, and I still have more to learn myself. It's not that the anatomy is changing necessarily, but how we understand and utilize it is always evolving.
Right.
And so the idea behind this course is, first of all, we're bringing it back to our home turf, all right, to the
Yeah.
OG hotel, Crossroads Hotel, where we
Yeah.
started. We're going to have an amazing crew here. We're going to do a early refresher, so a couple hours in the morning, go back through the basic stuff. Then I'm going to do a layered and live cross-sectional dissection on stage for everybody, interactive, so we can discuss and ask questions. And then we're going to do a live injection session. I've never injected live at any of my courses. And now
Yeah.
it's time to start that. And so we're going to do a full face live dissection, and we're going to coordinate it with my colleague, Steve Weiner, who in my opinion is one of, if not the best ultrasound educator in the world.
Yeah.
He's going to do a live ultrasound assessment on stage. Again, intimate environment. We're keeping it limited to spots.
Yep.
So it's going to be very, very close-knit, intimate opportunity for us to speak openly, ask questions. We're going to do a Q&A session at the end to address anything and everything. You can bring a case that you had a challenge with. You could ask us questions. And then that night, we're going to sign our new book for everybody. We're going to celebrate, have a great banquet event. And then Sunday, we're going to do a refresher lab for those who want to get one more round in the lab together.
Yeah, and that's so. I mean, a couple things. One, after talking about your cross-sectional dissection, you're doing a layered dissection in front of everybody and walking everyone through. That's on Saturday, and then Sunday we're going back to the traditional lab where folks who want to can do their own dissection. What's the benefit though? After we talked about doing the dissectional lab, what's the benefit of you walking through the layered analysis and going? And I think the ability to have questions and have people be interactive at that point is so valuable. I can't wait to see it. What's the reasoning for doing that?
Well, I think it'd be fun to do both approaches,
Yeah, which is really cool.
and
And I don't think anyone has done that, to be honest.
no, we're gonna do the whole shebang. I'm gonna get up on stage. I've got a 2 hour block. We're gonna walk through the entire layered approaches, discuss all that anatomy, answer the Q&A, and then we're gonna inject and dissect together on stage. Again, people can interact with me. They can ask questions, and I really want to do. I want to review the entire course itself within a
Yeah,
morning through didactic and cadaver, and then jump into live injections, advanced techniques in the afternoon. And I want to deliver a product to the alumni that I think will create a very nice refresher for them, stimulate them with the questions they may not have answered yet, and push our boundaries. Let's really talk about how we've grown as an injector and where we can go next, and how we navigate safely in the face. I personally am so excited about this course. I really hope that we get some alumni out here because we're gonna have a blast.
yeah, well, that's I am too, and we will, and I encourage everyone to check it out because it is limited. It's going to be a small environment, which I think with you and Steve Weiner, and the faculty you've got, you don't get an opportunity to talk to folks in this environment like you are. But you also mentioned you're doing a live injection. You've never done a live injections before at these courses. What's the impetus behind that? Why are you deciding to do that all of a sudden? Because it's something you've wanted to do. I know we've talked
Yeah.
about it, but like now it's what's the benefit of that? We see it, but I'm kind of curious. What, like, as a student, what would the benefit of that be?
Well, it's something I've always wanted to do. Logistically, sometimes it's hard because I'm not licensed in all the states that we travel
Sure.
to, but here I'm at my home turf. Um, and we didn't have time in the past. We had packed in other things,
Yeah.
rheology talks, complication management, ultrasound. But this year we're going to take a pivot to that because I think there's something about, although I have my videos, there's something really unique about injecting live in person with an assessment as well, right? Like we're going to assess the patient together, all of us as alumni. We're going to talk about what we can do to help this patient and customize it to them. And that's what we do in our practice every day. Seeing an injection video is great for the technique,
Yeah.
but the artistry behind the assessment, the consultation, the delivery of the technique, and then the on-stage result, there's a lot of power in that. And so I decided this is the year to bring that into our course, and I'm super excited about it.
So it's not just the injection, it's the assessment, the consultation part. You're getting into all of that, which I think is that's going to be awesome. That's going to be fun to watch.
Yeah, I want it to be like someone's in my office with me seeing a patient, like
Yeah.
a fly on the wall. And then
Yeah.
now we're gonna have X, Y flies on the wall that all have an input, and then Steve and I are gonna go to treatments and see what we can do.
Well, and what would be, well, first of all, are you and Steve going to do injections together, or is it
Uh,
just you?
I'm gonna inject, and he's gonna assess with ultrasound
Oh,
in real
he's doing the
time.
ultrasound. That's right.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Um, what's cool about that, I think, is a lot of the alumni are nurse practitioners, PAs, RNs, and they have a different way of doing assessments and consultations. And to see you're a board certified plastic surgeon, Steve's a facial plastic surgeon, board certified facial plastic. To see your approach to it from the anatomy side, I think is going to be really instructive for folks, and also to a certain extent, kind of seeing what questions and where they're coming at it from, right? To kind of see like, okay, well, because we can all learn from each other on this. This is going to be a cool event. I'm excited to see it. And then talk about your book too. Like, first of all, one anatomy book is not enough. You need another one.
Well, thank you. No, so I got to credit Steve Weiner. He was the one who kind of pushed me a little bit to do this. He said, "Hey, Chris, that first book you wrote with Dr. Lamb, your mentor, it's done very well. It's still ongoing. It's in 6 different languages. I don't even know what reprint it's on now. And that was a great collaboration with my co-author. But I have done a lot since then,
Yeah.
especially in just the way that I visualize the anatomy, what I've learned through my own research, through others' research and publication. And basically, this book is a summary of that lecture that I've now delivered X amount of times for this course. combined with the modality of ultrasound, which is really a game changer in aesthetics. And so Steve and I decided to push through and team up for the book. We love it. I mean, we're very proud of the product. It's not a long book. It's very succinct. It's very high yield. It's the way that I teach. In other words, you're not
Yeah.
bogged down with a lot of extensive reading. It's very high yield, very illustrative, bright, visually oriented, and the ultrasound images are fantastic by Steve. And the book is done great. It's been top of the Amazon list for cosmetic and plastics, I think, since it was released, and we just sold out worldwide the first print. So they're reprinting it
Nice.
right now. So it's already translated to Portuguese, I found out recently. So they're already putting it in different languages.
I would
So-
expect nothing. I would expect nothing less. That was the first question I had, was what if it was going to be in Portuguese. Did and then everyone who comes to the course gets a copy of the book, right?
Yeah.
So-
So here's the
then-
book right here. Yep.
Yep.
And then
that's awesome.
we're doing a combined. This will be the first time actually Steve and I have done a combined book signing. We'll be at this alumni event.
We're gonna have
So-
to make sure Steve's head doesn't get too big for that. He's sitting next to you at the table. He's gonna be so excited. That's awesome. Honestly, this is well, and also credit to the Crossroads. I remember when you started this, and then we hit COVID, right? And they were so good during that. But it's such a cool hotel. It's a cool place to do this. It's small. It's intimate. Everything's right there, and it's just a great place to do an event. And I think getting it back there is going to be a lot of fun. We do have, again, I think it's important to say we've got limited space, so we need to make sure, because it's not a big hotel. Oftentimes we're doing these things at kind of, Marriott's or the Wynn or whatever. We don't have that many spaces, so we want to make sure if you want to come, please make sure that you check it out. Come to americanmedspa.org. There's a education link, and AIA has a whole link for it. Well, we'll have a link in the bio here and all that kind of stuff. I'm curious though, what doing these events for the past 6 years, what's kind of your favorite overall memory about these things? Like, what's the thing that stands out the most? Because and obviously you've got the clinical, you've got all that, but like, what's the thing that just kind of makes you either most proud or most excited about this?
I think it's the aha moment. When we get to the end of the course, I try to walk around the tables on the second day of the lab and make sure I answer any questions I haven't answered.
Yeah.
And when I get authentic feedback from them that they say this is the best course I've ever been to, they don't have to say that, but if they do, that makes me feel great. Or you've changed the way I approach anything in my practice. As an educator, right? As an educator, the greatest reward is seeing your students learn something new and different that's going to make them better at what they're doing, right?
Yeah.
And I've been fortunate throughout my career to be impacted by mentors. I love anatomy. I love injections. I love teaching it, but I love the response and feedback from the attendees when they feel like they've really learned something. And again, when they recognize the authenticity of the course, that's what's important to me. We're not about, it's not a flashy setup. We're not looking to, again, we're not trying to be flashy. We're trying to be authentic and educate. And when people walk away inspired, that makes my day, and that keeps me going.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And then the other, from my perspective, having been around it for a bit, to me it's all of that. Of course, I think the aha moments, and it's always interesting because you see people after the 2-day course when it's 2 long days, and they're kind of like you can tell it's like they're exhausted, but they're motivated at the same time, right? But it's also the kind of the energy and the networking that you get from being around these people from all over the country who are in your exact spot, and they're looking for the exact same thing. And that network of injectors is so important, because nowadays, especially with complication management being so important, you got to have that network. You got to find mentors, and that's what I've always really, really liked about it. You've built this network without even really trying to, of just these folks who come together. And I know a lot of them still stay in touch, and we need to do a better job of kind of setting that up too. Cause I think it's just such a cool relationship that you're building with these folks.
Well, as I say, rising tide raises all ships, right? And I think that our course brings like-minded people together. who are passionate. They want to learn, and we do have a ton of fun. I love the banquets too at night. Everyone's relaxing and chatting and reminiscing, and they're having a lot of people who have met and networked through the course and have stayed in touch. And I'll get alumni who reach out to me all the time saying, "Oh, hey, Dr. Surek, I tried that technique today and I love it," or "Thank you for teaching me this," or so on and so forth. And or I met so and so, and we still stay in touch. It really is. It's a community. I mean, that's why the alumni event. I want to bring the community back together, and I want to see some of these alumni come back to Kansas City and share in a special weekend. And I think we have something very special here, and I'm excited to continue to foster it.
Me too. I think it's going to be awesome. And as far as faculty goes, is it just Steve Weiner? Is anyone else coming up besides that?
Yeah, good point. So the core faculty are going to be me and Steve. I know that George Baxter Holder's coming up because he's one of the original faculty and he didn't want to miss this event. And I'm sure he'll be participating and very vocal throughout all the conversations. And he's a wealth of knowledge, as well as Hermine Warren. Another original faculty. She wouldn't miss this for the world. She's a massive AIA supporter, and I love having her there. And so they're going to be there to add color commentary and character, and it's going to be a blast.
That's awesome. All right. Well, the actual course is June 28th. We have like on June 27th, which is that Friday evening, we have like a kickoff reception so you can come and meet folks. So you've got, 2 months, roughly a little bit less than 2 months to sign up in Kansas City, Crossroads Hotel. Can't wait to see everybody there. Chris, I'll give you the last words.
Alex, well, thank you. First of all, thank you to AmSpa for how much you've helped grow this course. You guys are amazing partners. We still got a lot ahead of us. If the alumni out there, listen, I know you're busy, but you won't regret it. Come back and see me in Kansas City, and let's run it back one more time.
Yeah, absolutely. I can't wait to see all you guys. It's going to be fun. All right, man, let's do it. I'll see you there.
All right, sounds good. Thanks, Alex.
Thank you to producers Madeline Mahler, marketing content coordinator who organizes, schedules, and handles our guests, provides topics, talking points, and guest bios to our hosts. And myself, Joe DeGuzman, technology operations assistant manager. I handle the audio and video editing, voiceovers, and tech. Kate Harper, senior digital marketing coordinator who makes all of our graphics and manages the podcast platform. Esme Uriostegui, senior social media coordinator who makes and posts all of the clips of the podcast to our social feeds. Our music is by Ghost Score.
Thank you for listening to or watching the Medical Spa Insider podcast. Please follow or subscribe wherever you listen to your podcast and subscribe to our YouTube channel for future episodes. For more information about the American Med Spa Association, please check our show notes or in the description below.